There he stood, Denzel, only 8, watching as the wolf approached his sister, Penny. The wolf gazed murderously at her, as if she was its dinner. Denzel wouldn't let that happen. He would never allow Penny to be eaten by a wolf. He knew he had to protect her, to fight for her. He knew this was dangerous, but this was the time to prove he was indeed a boy soldier. Denzel lived in a small farmhouse with his parents and little sister, Penny, who was 3 years old. It is a beautiful house with flowers forming the hedges and climbers lining the walls. Denzel liked the house because it was cozy, especially during the rainy season when outside was wet and chilly. In the morning when he woke, his favorite thing to do was walk to the kitchen where Mummy's baking filled his nostrils with a pleasant smell. Mummy always baked donuts, and every morning, Denzel would ask the same question. "May I have a donut, please, Mummy?" And Mummy would respond, saying, "Why don't you go brush your teeth, and I'll have one waiting for you." By the time Denzel was done brushing his teeth, Mummy always had breakfast waiting at the dining table. Daddy often drank coffee and ate just a donut every morning before heading off to work on the farm. Denzel usually had as many as 2, unlike Penny, who couldn't finish one. Every morning after breakfast, Mummy walked them to school before returning to the house to tidy it up. The house always sparkled when Denzel and Penny returned from school, and Mummy would have biscuits and homemade iced tea waiting for them. When Denzel turned 5, Mummy and Daddy noticed something different about him. He volunteered to do stuff by himself. He would say to Mummy, "Can I help do the dishes?" And if Mummy was cutting vegetables, he would say, "Mummy, the carrots, I can cut them. Let me help." Mummy never allowed him to touch the knife. At first, Mummy thought Denzel was growing a bit more attached to her. But in the evening, as Daddy worked on the farm, Denzel went out to him and asked to help. "Daddy, I can help," he said, after which he flexed his muscles to show Daddy he was strong enough to help. This amused his dad. He smiled at him and ruffled his hair. "Thank you for the offer, little man," he said to Denzel. "But can you tell the plant from the weed?" Denzel shook his head. "What is weed, Daddy?" he asked. Daddy took a break from his work to explain to him what weeds are. "They are unwanted plants," he told Denzel. In the morning, when Denzel and Penny walked to school, he held Penny's hand. He rarely held her hand in the past. Mummy, following closely behind, liked this new sense of responsibility in Denzel. Mummy was pregnant with another baby. She was happy that Denzel was growing and developing well, as she would have her hands full when the third baby arrived. That night, as they had dinner, Denzel said, a little mindlessly, "Daddy, why are you not a soldier?" Daddy paused, thought about it before answering. "Denzel, that's because I am already a farmer," he said. "I want you to be a soldier," Denzel said. Daddy laughed. "I can't. Farmers are important," he said to Denzel. "I want to be a soldier," Denzel declared. Mummy stopped eating to look at him. "Are you sure?" she asked. Denzel nodded. "Why do you wish to be a soldier?" she asked him. "So I can protect everyone," Denzel said. "That's such a big talk," Daddy said, laughing. He didn't believe Denzel would be a soldier when he grew up. After Denzel and Penny had gone to bed, Daddy returned to join Mummy in their own bed. "Our boy wants to be a soldier," he said to her. "He is growing up fast. Where do you think he got the idea from?" "I don't know," Mummy said. "I don't think I've seen any of the kiddie shows talk about soldiers so far." The next morning, Daddy volunteered to take Denzel and Penny to school instead of working on the farm. This excited both kids. Daddy had never walked them to school before. After Daddy had taken them to their classrooms, he approached Denzel's teacher to have a chat with him. He wanted to know if any of the classroom discussions was the reason Denzel was speaking about becoming a soldier. The teacher, Mr. Summer, smiled as he recollected where Denzel probably picked up the idea from. "Oh, you see, Mr. Miller," referring to Denzel's father, "we had our Army Day 2 days ago, and we had a veteran come to speak to the kids about bravery as embodied by soldiers. Your son must have been a little too attentive," he joked. "It's not a problem," said Denzel's father. "I just wanted to know where he learned about soldiers. Have a good day." "You too," Mr. Summer said as Mr. Miller left. One evening, when Daddy took Denzel to see a film in the local cinema, he spoke to him about his career choice again. "Denzel, I want you to be a doctor when you grow up," he said to him. "You see, like the doctor in the movie we just saw." "But I want to protect everyone, and I want to protect Mummy's baby," Denzel argued. "Doctors protect people even more," Daddy said. "Doctors save lives." Denzel didn't say anything. It was easy to see he was not convinced. Daddy ruffled his head and bought him some ice cream. "Come on, buddy, let's head home. It's getting late," Daddy said. He took Denzel's hand, and they walked home. When they got back, Mummy was in the living room whining in pain. Daddy was alarmed when he saw her. He went to her side at once. "Mummy, are you okay?" Denzel asked. He appeared worried. Mummy had been falling sick a bit more recently, and he knew it had something to do with her bulging belly. "Mummy will be fine," Daddy said. Denzel stood, worried that Daddy might not be saying the truth. "Mummy, are you okay?" he asked again. Daddy helped Mummy with her breathing rhythm before turning to Denzel. "Mummy and I will have to go to the hospital," he told him. "Is Mummy sick?" he asked, curious, already feeling sad. "The baby in Mummy's belly might be coming, so we need to go to the hospital," Daddy told him. Denzel stood looking at them. He didn't know what to do. "Mummy and I will go together," Daddy said. "I will need you to stay at home with your sister, Penny. She's up in the room." "Daddy, can I come with you?" "Mummy, I want to come," Denzel said. "No, my baby," Mummy said. "You'll need to look after your sister." Daddy walked over to Denzel and took his hands. "I need you to stay with Penny. I'll call Aunt Janet to come over and look after you too. But for now, I need to take Mummy to the hospital." Denzel nodded. He understood. Daddy returned to Mummy, put his arm around her, and helped her to her feet. He led her out through the door and closed it. Denzel felt alone standing in the living room. Suddenly, the cozy house no longer looked so cozy. It felt too big and empty. It was the first time he had ever had to be there without either Mummy or Daddy. He left the living room and made his way up to the room where Penny was sleeping soundly. He stood watching her sleep. When Penny turned and opened her eyes, she found Denzel watching her. "Mummy is having the baby. Daddy says I should look after you," he told her. "No," argued Penny. "I want Mummy." "Mummy is at the hospital," Denzel told her. Penny got out of bed. Denzel tried to hold her, but she wriggled free and headed for the door. "Stop, Penny," Denzel said. Penny stopped, but seeing that Denzel had nothing to placate her with, she turned again. It was then they heard a bang. It came from the living room area. Penny was temporarily stunned. She recovered, and then headed for the living room, having convinced herself it must be Mummy. Denzel hesitated, and then followed. The living room was empty. Penny stood there crying, calling for her Mummy. Denzel went over to her and pulled her close. Penny didn't want his help. She wriggled free and kept on crying. Then came the bang sound again. It was from the kitchen. Denzel stared in the direction of the kitchen. A big wolf appeared, walking quietly up to them. Penny was the one closer to the kitchen, so the wolf was making its way to her, growling as it did. She stood, frozen to a spot by fear. She even stopped crying, her wails stuck in her throat. "Run, Penny!" Denzel yelled from behind her. Penny wheeled around. She ran to Denzel. Denzel at once hid her behind him. The wolf stood, watching them calculative, its gaze menacing. Denzel was fearful, his heart beating fast. The wolf's growl was bolder now. It could sense their fear, could sense its own victory. These two were a buffet. Behind Denzel, Penny gripped his shirt, her hands shaking. The wolf took a step toward Denzel. He knew he couldn't run away. Even if he could get away, Penny was still too small to escape. The animal was probably faster anyway. He stood watching it. As the wolf took another step toward them, Denzel began to look around the room. He needed something to protect himself and Penny with. Beside him, under the hanging flower vase, was a broom. Denzel grabbed it. This action temporarily stunned the wolf as it paused in its stride. Then, recovering its composure, the wolf charged at them. Denzel struck out with the broom, causing it to stop and reel backward. Denzel once again hit out hard at the wild animal. "Stay back," he shouted. He was scared but firm. He knew he needed to be. He could feel Penny shivering behind him. Just then, the exit door opened and Aunt Janet walked into the room. Seeing the wolf and the kids in that position, she charged at the wild animal, lifting her handbag as a weapon, moving purely on impulse and adrenaline. The wolf turned and fled from the room. Through the kitchen window from where it had come in, it jumped outside. Aunt Janet closed the door and bolted it shut. Then she closed the kitchen window. Only then did she turn to Denzel and Penny and gathered them in her arms. Penny found her voice again and started to whimper. When they were calm, Aunt Janet took them to their room and told them stories to help them forget about their encounter with the wolf. In the morning, Denzel woke up to find Daddy at his bedside. He was sitting quietly, watching him. As Denzel opened his eyes fully, he smiled at him. "Hey, buddy," he said, touching Denzel's face. Your aunt told me how you protected your sister from a wolf. Denzel at once remembered that encounter. He thought he had perhaps dreamt it. You were very brave, little man, Daddy said. I guess I can call you a soldier boy now. You've earned it. Daddy smiled at him. Denzel remembered his mummy then. Where is Mummy? He asked. Daddy's smile broadened. You have someone else to protect. Mummy had a baby boy. Denzel was very happy. Though he missed the smell of donut wafting through the air, he was happy to have a baby brother. Perhaps he would teach him to be a boy soldier just like himself, and together they would protect Penny. And Mummy. And Daddy. And everyone. Like soldiers do.